Soldier Boy, the real-life account of a 6-year-old boy who fought the Nazis in World War II. The story takes place during World War II when the Allies and Axis powers were divided into two opposing armies, the Germans on one side and the Soviets on the other. The protagonist, a young kid of 6, has just lost his parents and all of his other relatives, and the novel follows his trials and tribulations. In today's video, we will talk about the Soldier Boy. Be sure to subscribe to the channel name, and we won't waste any more time, so let's dive in. Soldier Boy is a film based on the true story of the youngest Allied soldier during World War II. The film opens with a Russian family of 3 relaxing by the river. Sergei Alyashkov, the youngest, brags to his older brother and mother that he is high up in a tree when German fighter planes suddenly fly overhead. The mother orders her children to take cover in the bushes immediately, but her 6-year-old insists he is not afraid and fires a slingshot at the airplane. After the Germans have attacked them, the woman warns him to flee. Some soldiers were approaching their homes at that very moment. When Sergei tries to escape with her, the woman shoots him dead before he can reach the window. The young boy, only 6 years old, is now completely alone. Sergei witnesses his entire neighborhood go up in flames as he flees the house. After futilely trying to reach his mother, he runs from the scene. After a time of fleeing, he finds himself in the middle of the forest. As he wanders aimlessly, the child eventually gives up and cries out for his mother to come and rescue him. As for that night, he spends it in the bush. The following morning, as enemy forces approach him, he stops to drink water from a river. Sergei hurriedly takes refuge within the tree's roots, knowing full well that the ground beneath him is treacherous. Although he is terrified by the presence of a snake, he does not yell or flee. The soldiers present a greater threat to Sergei than the snake does. After the troops have finished their meal by the river and left, Sergei takes their leftovers and eats them for the rest of the night. But by the end of the day, the small child is worn out. He's been on the road for 2 days with no real plan and no food. Even after injuring himself, he continues to limp along. While walking, he stops to eat some berries from the wild, but on the way back, an explosion occurs behind him, catching him completely off guard. The young man begins to feel faint and hallucinates a presence behind him. 2 soldiers walk up to him as he's sleeping. Commander Kuznetsov of the Russian army waits for his patrol members as the scene shifts to the army base. They walk in carrying the frail and damaged child. The small child finally opens up and identifies himself when the troops assure him they are on his side. The troops feel protective over the youngster and surround him. They force him to eat and drink. The commander, who is often distant, shows compassion for the youngster. Nurse Katya tends to Sergei's wounds and is enamored with him. A future soldier, the child begs her to draw a tank on his scars. The wounded troops feel better after chatting with the kid. Sergei can't stop thinking about the commander's gun and batch. After removing the rounds, the commander also lets the young child play with his honorary pistol and answers all of his inquiries. Sergei demonstrates the tank he's drawn on his stomach and brags that he's a soldier. The young man's wounds are fast healing. Katya, the nurse, begs the commander to let Sergei stay with the battalion, but the commander refuses, saying that would be unsafe. Instead, he plans to place Sergei in an orphanage. They give him binoculars to play with and food that their faraway relatives have sent him. A member of the battalion eventually petitions the commander to keep the youngster on active duty. The soldiers have developed strong feelings for the youngster and now treat him like one of their own. Having him there lightens the burden of war for them. The commander, though, is adamant that the boy be sent to an orphanage. Many soldiers are hurt the next day as the enemy attacks. Sergei is being picked up by an orphanage transport vehicle. The commander tells the youngster the news and presents him with a wooden pistol as a token of appreciation. In return, the youngster embraces the commander, saying that he fears for the commander's life. The commander gives in to his affection and reconsiders. He claims to be Sergei's father and begs him to continue with the army. The men spend the night searching for infantry uniforms for the youngster. All of them are thrilled to have Sergei stay with them. Sergei is awakened by the commander, who also provides him with the attire. He puts them on and acts like a genuine soldier by running around in them. Their little army boy is what the others start calling him. The Germans begin an airstrike on the battalion as the child plays around. The soldiers whisk Sergei away to safety and immediately engage the enemy. An increasing number of soldiers have been hurt. Sergei is eager to contribute. The young child has a sincere desire to assist, but he cannot read the instructions. He then begins to make up false information about what was said in the letter, such as the fact that the soldier's cow has returned home safely. Soldiers advise one another to laugh it off when one of them declares he doesn't have a cow. He gives the same upbeat treatment to everyone's letters by reading them all. The next scene features a conversation between Katya and the commander. But suddenly, the youngster notices that an attack has destroyed one of the soldier stations. To show respect for the fallen soldier, the commander instructs him to remove his hat. The following day, he presses his case with the commander and is assigned the responsibility of distributing the letters among the troops. He does an excellent job and even gets the troops to dance for him. Sergei takes his binoculars out for a spin a ways from the base the next day. While fiddling with it, he notices movement in a haystack, which he assumes to be a human leg. He returns immediately to report his findings to the battalion. Although they are skeptical, the troops decide to accompany the youngster. As they draw up to the haystack, they hear noises and discover 2 German spies hiding there. The spies are caught, and the boy gets high marks for his wit. At dinner that same night, the commander presented Sergei with his adoption paperwork. His paternity has been legally recognized. The commander has emotions for Katya, and Sergei knows this, so he goes to her to repay his goodwill. When the two notice her interacting with another man, they incorrectly presume she is interested in him. Once again, the Germans launch an attack on the base. Sergei supplies ammunition to the frontline soldiers this time, but they order him back to the shed since it's too risky for him to remain out there. When he arrives at the shack, he finds the commander and the others freaking out since they can't reach the colonel by phone. In the end, a soldier has been dispatched to mend the damaged wiring. Sergei discovers the soldier has been fatally wounded after following him. He then follows the dying soldier's instructions to repair the cables on his own. More soldiers are dispatched as the link is restored. The 6-year-old ends up being the hero and saving everyone. After that, we catch up with the commander and Katya as they have a conversation by the river. Once and for all, the commander tells her how he feels about her and wants her to raise Sergei as his own son. Before Katya can express her elation, however, a soldier walks up and hands the commander a letter informing him that they have been ordered to leave the base. The next day, Sergei and the rest of the soldiers report to their new base. However, some of their cars are destroyed when they drive across a minefield. The commander is hurt, and Sergei's close friend and the group's orderly are killed in a blast. He sobs into the commander's arms. Those who are hurt are taken along on the trip to the new base. When they get to the top of the building, they'll meet the general in charge. Even he is impressed by the kid's drive, and he offers his congratulations to the commander on raising such a bright youngster. The following day, the boy, along with the rest of his division, is given a guard's banner. In exchange for the general handing over the badge, he vows to save his country. When their base is attacked viciously one night, their commander's buried alive beneath the rubble. Sergei begs his father to help him and sobs for him. When he summons the rest of the troops, they bring the leader out. Sergei goes to see a wounded commander the following day. In his efforts to rescue the commander, he suffered injuries to both hands. This kid has become an integral part of the group. He doesn't have any relatives to stay with him, so he follows them around the battlefield. The film concludes as the regiment is shown relocating to a new base. Does this boy's story inspire you? Please tell us in the comments section, and on that note, we must adjourn for the day. We sincerely hope you enjoyed our video, and we'll see you next time.